Spirit Radio podcasts.
It is a Saturday Magazine with Jackie here. The most recent Central Statistics Office figures highlight that the rate of separation and divorce in Ireland are rising, with separation and divorce being evidenced as one of the most stressful life events a family can experience, as I'm sure you can imagine. For some children, it can be a particularly traumatic and emotional time. And our next guest, has written a book about her experience of growing up as a child, being taken away from her father and her brother, and the emotional impact that the breakup of her family had on her life. Her faith has been a source of strength in recovery. And on the line now to tell us more about her book titled Jesus the Healer, we have author Shirley Keogh. You're very welcome to the show this morning, Shirley.
It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Now, I know, first of all, tell us just a little bit about your background to your story and what led up to the breakdown of your parents' relationship.
Okay. Well, I'm from the north side of Dublin originally, but I'm now living in Galway, and I came from a family of four. I was 12 when my parents split up, and my brother was 8. And I suppose what led to the split, I suppose there was turbulence really from the start, and I suppose over the years didn't recover from that. You know, there would have been arguments and sort of disagreements, and my father would have been out a good bit, and my mother needed more support, I suppose, and that sort of thing. Yes, eventually anyway, unfortunately they did split up, even though, there was definitely love in the beginning. That's the important point to note. They definitely loved each other in the beginning. It's just various stresses and strains, and sometimes watching what other people had or what they were doing, and that's sort of when you're living sometimes in a neighbourhood and so-and-so are getting on great, or they have this and they have that, and maybe a bit of comparisons and things sometimes surface as well. So anyway, yes, my mum then left with me when I was 12, and my brother was left with my father.
Okay, and how did this impact you at the time? These were, I'm sure it had an impact on you at the time. And what I've noticed too from people whose parents divorce, it also goes and follows them into their adult years too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's the huge thing about it. And if any message is to get out there really to anybody who's even considering a separation or a divorce, it has lifelong consequences for your children. Sorry to tell you, but it's true. And all you have to do is look at any YouTube videos of children speaking about this, and who are not healed, which is the awful part about it. You see, they do have to get healed eventually in order for bitterness not to set in later life. That's the key. So if you think of any people that you might know even who are broken for whatever reason, and you find that in later life bitterness sets in if they're not healed.
Oh, Shirley, that's so true. That's so true. So true.
So crucial,
And I suppose that kind of ties into the title of your book, probably why you named it Jesus the Healer. Chat to us about the book and how important faith was in helping your emotional recovery.
Yes, it was absolutely huge. And sometimes what Jesus does is he brings you to your knees before you actually sort of say to yourself, right, I have to recover from this, and nothing else I've done has worked. Like no amount of self-help books, none of that. No amount of well-meaning friends, nothing else works except Jesus. Jesus is the only one that can get you out of that hole. And how it happened was that literally what he does, he's so beautiful and gentle. He sends beautiful people along the journey with you, and you might get a holy person that you come in contact with, and they say something beautiful that's actually after sinking in, that you have to do something to help yourself. And in my particular case, this is in the book, a wonderful lady in Athenry, fair play to her, she took the chance to come out and say, I know that you're broken. And she told me straight out, and then we got talking. Then after that was fairly dramatic sort of start of the conversation, but I had seen her before, and she basically advised me to go for counselling in Esker. The Esker Redemptorists, by the way, I'm sure they're all over the country. They do fantastic work, counselling work for people. And so it sort of started with that. And then around the same time, I was kind of going for I joined a rosary group as well, and I was saying the rosary publicly with them. even though I say a lot of my rosaries myself now, but it was a wonderful sort of way of getting on the road to healing.
Wow, she was really brave to say that to you, wasn't she?
She's fantastic, and that's what, do you know what, if anybody feels like saying something, maybe you have to say something to somebody. There's a holy person out there that feels, oh God, I have to say something here now, and you know, people start to say, oh, you better not say anything, you're sticking your nose out, but don't feel like that. Sometimes actually it does require that.
Sometimes saying something in love is just the thing the person needs.
Yeah, it's monumental.
Yeah.
And then I went, eventually that connection brought me to other people, and eventually went out to Clonfert then. There's an Eddie Stones, he has a healing mission out there, and more healing actually took place there. In fact, I cried very much. So that was another layer of the onion, if you like, being peeled away, that hurt of the separation from my brother. You see, the thing was that it's the shock to the system. Your family is divided in half. And it's just a huge shock to your system, because you see, God made us to be, you know, our families to be together, and you know, with love. Even if one person in that family is prayerful, that's enough to keep that family together. No matter what happens, if you lose all your money, even if there's drink involved, whatever, if there's one prayerful person, that's enough to keep the family together.
Amen. Let's talk a bit about the book, Shirley, because the format is a different kind of style. It's a diary style. Tell us about the content of the book and what people can expect from reading it. Is it for young people? Is it for adults that have gone through this? Who's the book for?
Now, to be honest with you, I was asking the Lord that, and I said, where do you want this book to go? And I brought it to them in front of the Blessed Sacrament. So I think really what he's saying to me is that it's for anyone really out there. It could be any age group. And you know what I think? I think the earlier the better. If there's people in their 20s listening to this, I think that's absolutely brilliant. I was in my 40s now before I had my healing, but by golly, if somebody on the radio telling me this is the way to go, I'd be doing it in my 20s, not my 40s. You know, get healed fast as I can. So anyway, sorry, to come back to the book, it's a diary-style format it's in. So I felt inspired by Jesus at certain dates from 2018 to write about my healing experiences, and I have it fairly structured in a structured way, so you won't be confused as to the path, how it is spun out, if you like, the path. And Clonfert, as I mentioned, was one of the things. And then I went to Medjugorje as well at a later point, and believe it or not, the Holy Land. So, this was all Jesus was doing. I honestly, you know, I sort of, you know, I used to say, are you sure? And then he'd give me a sign that would say, no, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. So, and then, you know, as I say, I started writing in 2018. I felt he wanted me to write down my experiences and my inspirations from him. And, you know, I was able to recall, you know, I recalled all those healing stages throughout my journey, and I've written it all out. But it's very positive, that's the thing. Like, you know, I talk about my past to give context, not to make people sad. It's just to give context, but the real message is that there's hope and healing and positivity there, and Jesus is definitely the answer. And if you want it, if you desire it, he'll do it.
So true, isn't it? Now tell people, where can they get their hands on this book? How, if somebody's listening to this and going, oh, I'd love to get that, how can they get their hands on it?
No, okay, well, at the moment the easiest way is on Amazon. So if you key in Shirley Keogh, Jesus the Healer, and on Amazon, you know, Shirley Keogh, Jesus the Healer, Amazon, that'll bring the book up. Excellent. And that's the easiest way to get it, to be honest. That's the easiest way at the moment. It's fairly newly released, so I haven't even got as far as going to bookstores, but who knows what with this COVID thing, you know, how the bookstore thing is going to go anyway. So the best way really is online. Yeah.
Shirley, thanks so much for coming on this morning and sharing your story, and I wish you all the best with the book. It sounds amazing.
Thank you so much. And if please, just one final thing, if people would review it, I'd be so delighted, because you'll be helping other people to reaching out to other people. If it's reviewed on Amazon or Goodreads, if you don't mind. It's just a couple of lines.
Excellent.
If you enjoy it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. God bless you all there. God bless the work.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Well, God bless you too. So that's author Shirley Keogh. You know, I thank her so much for coming on this morning, because she's got a really powerful message. You know, when there's bitterness, you know, when there's hurt, it turns to bitterness. And if you have that bitter root in you, it's just so hard to lead a happy life. And she's got it right. Jesus is the healer. It doesn't matter what's caused that bitterness, whether it was something, you know, from your parents, that them splitting up, or maybe it was something else. Maybe it was a relationship that went bad. Whatever that bitterness, whatever that root of that bitterness is, let Jesus in there. Just let him in there and let him heal that for you so that you can have your best life. We just thank Shirley Keogh so much for coming on this morning. Jesus the Healer. Go on to amazon.co.uk and you can see the book there. Also, do Shirley the favor of reviewing the book. It'll get the message out there how good the book is, and it'll get into the hands of the people who really, really need it.
Spirit.
It can be a really big leap of faith in starting out and launching your own business. And our next guest did just that 10 years ago when she launched her beauty and skin